guests that are going to join us, and we're going to talk some more about business, and then we're going to give you an opportunity to ask questions. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So Matt, would you like to join us up on stage? And then we have Dr. Daniel Moses. Round of applause. And yeah, see, we're very comfortable. And then we have someone, remember I said to you about the power of networking? So this person I only met 2 months ago, and the relationship has just been amazing. She's hooked me up, connected me with yeah, it's just been nuts. Miss Irene. Representing the University of Westminster, who I found out that they are very big on social entrepreneurship, right? So, and they're our sponsors now. Wow. When you embody who and what you are, every opportunity is an opportunity. We just met, had a conversation, and now we got money in the bank from Westminster University. How cool is that? Okay, and so last but not least, we have Chris. Chris, listen, please, round of applause. Please join us.
Of course.
So, and then we're going to have... The lady that needs no introduction, I'll get some representative of the Natwest. It's been Taylor. Please come. Okay, so we are going to talk about business. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, Matt, you talked about the importance of niching. So I want to say out loud, right from the off. So my niche is, as crazy as it might seem, I want to bring spirituality into business. And I can say that boldly because I was looking on the internet yesterday and I saw Anne Kitley just been in Forbes magazine talking about spirituality in business. Does that sound a bit crazy, ladies and gentlemen?
Nowadays it's more acceptable. But several years ago, as you said, you couldn't mix the two. The conscious people amongst us know that it is a thing, and if you're more conscious and you're spiritual based, and that's why I say my God-given talent is, because I know it wasn't, I didn't create it. I was given certain talents I decided to pursue. And so Anna, she's fabulous, and she's helping lots of women out there. I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, and funny enough how things work. If you want to really get a sense of my purpose, I actually met her at an event in 2017, I think it was.
Was it my event?
No, it was an event called Best You, and I had my film crew with me, and if you want to see what she says, Anne is amazing. She was able to tap into my energy and tell me about myself. So if you want to see what my real purpose is, I'm here to meet 7 million people she told me, and she was able to tap that in a moment. Worth watching. Anna, Tony, Dada, and Anna Kelly. All right. So I'm on purpose. Daniel, businessman, I would like each of you to spend a couple of minutes introducing yourself so that the audience can be familiar as to who you are and what you do, and that way then we can set the scene and then we can go into some questions. Over to you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say congratulations on putting this over. I remember just about a year ago we met, about the same time.
Yeah.
And today, the power of visualization, right?
Yes.
I'm here. So I'm a first generational immigrant, originally born, bred Nigerian, came here 20 years ago, no brother, no sister, no auntie, no uncle, no family basically. And 20 years later, I have mentored over 1,000 property entrepreneurs. I have created entrepreneurs who have gone from zero to building a multi-million pound property portfolio. Just before that, in 2015, I lost a business. I lost about £150,000 in my Nigerian business. I became an Uber driver. and I drove as an Uber driver for over 18 hours a day. Cut long story short, today I have built a multi-million pound property portfolio. I'm a member of Forbes Scottish Council, and as well as a multiple best-selling author of 2 books. And yeah, so that's just about me, and I'm here to give back.
We had a conversation recently, and you told me about a speaking gig that you're going to do in a few months' time. Is that off limits? Can we share? It's you're cool, because I don't know what we're talking about. But I was just so impressed when you told me.
Yes. So in the month of November, I've been invited to speak on the same stage with the richest and the wealthiest black man on the planet, Mr. Aliko Dangote.
Wow. And he's worth a lot of change, right? He's the richest. And I'm saying that because, again, you heard his story, that it doesn't matter where you're at. Within a short space of time, look what he's doing. Because he set an intention, was really very clear, and applied some of these universal laws. And they're available for anyone who wants to tap in. There's a price you have to pay, because you have to show and prove that you're committed. But come on, who doesn't want to be committed to success? Okay. Dr. Ari.
Hello, good morning, and it's such a pleasure to be here with some of the students from the University of Westminster. Could you wave? Okay. So I'm Irene. I'm a teacher by day and a baker by night. Wow. I'm involved in a charity and in the African Speakers Bureau for Entrepreneurship as well. At heart, I guess I'm a student, and I'm really happy to be learning, and hopefully I can share a few things that are useful. Thank you.
On to me. I feel incredibly daunted being on this stage. Not quite the same repertoire. So my name's Chris. I come from a traditional marketing background, and I suppose I got frustrated when listening to businesses and how they were going about their marketing, and then how they were forgetting their customer's experience, their customer journey. And I think you said it perfectly on stage earlier, where you need all of those bits. You could have an absolutely amazing product. If nobody knows about it, it doesn't matter. If people do know about it, but their experience to get it is a terrible one. I mean, just by show of hands, who's ever inquired with a business and then gone, oh, what happens next, because it hasn't been laid out clearly to you? Yeah. Just show of hands. Just keep your hands up if that made you more likely to buy the product. Exactly. So I've developed that, and Tony and I met, 3-4 months ago? Yeah. And yeah. Now I'm in amazing company, and I can take this photo and show my wife I am doing something.
So let's get into the conversation. I've got a few questions, and so we're going to have, an opportunity for anyone to sort of chip in and share your views. So I wanted to start off with the first question directed to you, Matt. Like, how important is it for an individual to establish their niche?
Thank you. So I think it's critical, because otherwise, there's a saying that I say often, that if you attempt to market to everyone, you market to no one. If you're attempting to sell to everyone, you sell to no one. Unless your name is Google or IBM and all this. But for most small business owners, it's best to understand and create that niche and focus on talking to that niche. What group of people are you talking to? So much so, when you send them an email, they feel like you're talking to them. When you do your Instagram reel or your videos, they feel like you're talking to them. And if your niche is women, and you are talking about, I'm generalizing now, if women like to hear about makeup and having a massage and relaxing in the bath, and you're talking about going to the gym and pumping up and doing all this, it's like, it's mixed messages. So understanding your niche gives clarity in terms of how you communicate. Fantastic. So they're attracted to you.
Fantastic. Anyone want to comment on that and add to it?
I massively agree. So when I first started in business, I was going general. I was going down the line of, well, if I can be a one-stop shop for everybody, then fantastic. But once I sort of started knuckling down and niching down, I've now noticed an awful lot more people come to you because you're perceived as the expert in a niche. You can never be the expert at everything.
Sure. I mean, you're nodding your head.
So I guess we said something about problems and solving problems. And clearly, if you can hone down a person's problem so that you understand it intricately, then you're going to be in a better place to actually provide for them what they need. And of course, you want sufficient numbers to make your business profitable. So I think it's really important, problem definition for who it is you're going to be targeting, and then serving them so well that you have an emotional connection and you have a relationship that is not about, just hit it once and we're done.
I think speaking from my experience as well with entrepreneurs that I encounter on, quite a regular basis, it's about understanding that balance between falling in love with, what you're doing and believing in it so much as an entrepreneur that sometimes when you get that feedback, you're still like, no, it's definitely going to work. Even when the market is telling you this is not the niche that we need, this is not the niche that we want, sometimes it is worth just taking that step back and thinking, okay, even though this is what I love and what I believe in, I do have to pivot, somehow as well. So it's also just, I guess, being present in the moment, really listening to what the market is saying, but also believing in that niche, in those moments when you're going in the right direction.
Thank you. Makes sense. So, next question. I believe that business has changed, and I alluded to that earlier on. In the 21st century, I think there's a new way of doing business, and I've just positioned myself, waiting for everyone else to catch up in terms of social entrepreneurship and the importance of it. Irene, I want to direct this to you because at your university, you're really big on social entrepreneurship. Can you tell me why?
So I guess when you think about the University of Westminster, you're thinking about the transformation of lives of people. And we tend to look at students from all over the world. We have about 180 countries represented at our university.
Wow.
And in terms of transforming lives, it's often going to be because we're not just going to be teaching them and acting as though they were machinery to be processed. We have to have a good understanding of where people are coming from. Some people may come from a background of relative disadvantage. Some people might just be in a different country to what they're used to. So whatever it is, if we don't go beyond just servicing the educational needs of our students, we don't think we can achieve our motto of really transforming lives. And for us, the transformation of lives means we start maybe at point A, and we end up with students who go and make a difference in the world. And we think also that, business is not just about making money. We've seen so many people make money, it hasn't really brought them satisfaction. We still have lots of social problems. So we think going beyond that to look at social purpose and impacting the community and impacting our countries is very central to us. So it enables us to do what it is we're there to do. And many of us go to work not just for the money, but because we can have that impact in our world.
Wow, that's amazing. I think that's a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing, because I didn't know until a few years ago that this word even existed, the social entrepreneur. My good friend Archie, who's here with us today, he was working for an organization who had an endowment fund of 100 million. And they used the proceeds of that to focus on social entrepreneurship. The first time he said that, I'm like, yeah, that's what I am. I'm going to take that.
Yeah,
and now, we're engaging with you like yourself that focuses in that area. So thank you for sharing that, because what I want to do today is make people aware, broaden their understanding and their horizon as to what is possible and what's out there. And I believe that your university has received some awards for the great work that you're doing where social entrepreneurship is concerned.
Yes, indeed. So, for example, we have the Westminster Enterprise Network that works with students across the university to help them with their ideas, freelancing, starting up businesses, etc. And it's the Quentin Hogg Fund that we have money from. So Quentin Hogg founded the university many, many, many years ago. And the money that we have every year from that fund actually just goes to help our students. And we have examples of students who set up businesses. And actually, the fund is the reason why I'm here with some students as well, because we believe that our money can be directed to where it can really make a difference in the lives of students. And what our students have heard today will be so much better than just what we say in the classroom, because they can see it happening in lives, their lives being changed.
Yeah, education is definitely a business that's worth getting in if you're going to make the difference and make the impact. So Chris, tell us, from your perspective, how would you say business has changed, or you might not agree with my theory when I say that business has changed fundamentally in the 21st century?
I think,
from a technological point of view.
yeah, from a technology point of view, we're both further away from customers and closer to them than we've ever been. I think in tradition, I mean, if you go back sort of 30 years, which isn't going to be my expertise on this stage, I apologise, but when you sort of go back 30 years, most businesses were set up primarily as local businesses, and then you looked at expanding. Now you could, within an afternoon, go and set up a potentially international business because the world of social media exists. With that comes pros and cons. So you've got more scrutiny on absolutely everything you do. If you were a local shopkeeper and you did something that screwed up one day's worth of sales, now you can do something online that screws up an entire business and puts people out of business. I'll leave that one there. So I think we need to be aware of, Mac, you mentioned it in your talk, that invisibility at the start. It's a lot easier now to be visible if you're committed to it, more visible than you've ever been able to be. But equally, it needs to be done in a responsible way, where if you're constantly just using technology to go, here, buy my stuff, it's not going to be the same as, here, this is the impact I can bring, this is the problem that I can solve, this is how I can help. And if you're doing it from a genuine position of empathy, a genuine position of being that socially conscious person, success will come if you're committed to it. That's a great question. I try and be more personal to it, and when I'm working with clients, making sure that their customer's journey is personal and looked after. Because I think that's one thing that we've forgotten about as businesses, as a generalisation, but a lot of businesses have forgotten that your customers aren't numbers, they aren't just customers, they are people behind it, they have needs, they have wants.
So tell us a little bit about your business. What do you do? What is it exactly that you do?
So I work out what that customer journey looks like from a customer's point of view for a business. So using WhatsApp is a big thing. You can automate WhatsApp messages. So later on, spoiler alert, Tony's all going to send each and every one of you a video. And as lovely as it would be if you sent it individually, it won't be. It will be me sending it to all of you. But that allows us to be able to connect a little bit more. So it's not just if an inquiry comes into a business that says, thank you for your inquiry, we'll be in touch. It's a video that's personal from the business saying, thank you, this is me, I'm going to answer a few questions, build that trust, get closer to the business so that they know that there's a human being behind it more often than not. I think we lose that. And technology and social media has definitely not helped that, where you just feel like this is a transaction, this is this.
But you say that, but in a way it kind of has, doesn't it? In as much as what you do, I mean, I was really fascinated by the fact that here we are, we can do a video and it can go to everyone in this room, and it only took me like 2 minutes to do the video, and doing that video will make individuals feel connected. It will build our relationship, and if they respond, then some of my team or I can pick up on that and respond to it. So isn't that a demonstration that technology is being used in a positive way?
Yeah, and you're completely right. It's just trying to speak to businesses and let them understand that you can do that. Too often we forget about it. We forget about the bit where, right, you've come in and you've inquired, brilliant, you're on my list, I'm going to call you. Well, my experience as a potential customer is, right, what do I do next? And all of that uncertainty is only going to hinder. So I think we have the capacity to be able to be closer to our customers, to be more aware of what their needs are, and actually ask what their needs are. I think not enough businesses ask, right, what do you need this for? They're too busy going, here is my solution to a problem I'm going to assume you have. Well, yeah, they might have that problem, but it might be a whole raft of other things. WD-40 is a product that was made not for the purpose of what it is currently used. I don't know why I know that, but my dad told me that once. But it is a perfect example. It was. I think it was originally made for like the space industry, and when they would, and there were too many of the engineers kept on stealing them because they could use it at home, and then they were like, and then somebody turned around and went, if everybody's stealing it, maybe we should sell it. Now, if that's not true, my dad, like, this is one of those moments where my dad has just stitched me up. But I'm pretty sure but there are so many businesses that are like, here is my product, here is how you should use it. It's like, well, if everybody else is using it differently, lean into it. Lean into the actual people that you're helping. And I think technology can help that if we use it in the right way.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to the next question. So, recently I read a Forbes magazine article called The Rise of the Social Entrepreneur, a New Paradigm for Business. So it's not me talking, this is the Forbes magazine, and this was written a few years ago, talking about the rise of the social entrepreneur and a new paradigm for business. So I'd like to ask you, Dr. Moses, because I know that you talk about property and wealth creation, but having spoken with you, I know that that's not your driving force. That, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually about helping people. So, if I'm wrong, please correct, but if I'm right, please can you expand on that?
Thank you so much for that question. I think the first thing first is, I use myself as a case study. When I lost everything in 2015, and I became an Uber driver and I was driving for over 18 hours a day as an Uber driver, how does someone who started driving for 18 hours then 3 years later raised over 1.5 billion, which has allowed him to get onto the property ladder?
Okay, can you just pause a moment? Because I'm not sure if I heard you right when you told me on the phone, but it wasn't just 1.5 million, it was 1.5 million on Instagram.
On social media, across LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the other platforms.
Ain't that crazy? So when I say to people that money is literally everywhere, you just need to know how to tap into it. It's energy. But that's another story. Please continue. We're all intrigued.
So, yes, over the last 3 years, raised about 1.5 million, which allowed me to acquire assets, setting up a property company. So if you were to buy a property on your name as a buy-to-let landlord, by law and by the rules that govern finance, you're not allowed to lend 100%. But when you set up a company, you can take an investor loan into that company, and that loan will form the 25% that you need to put down as a deposit.
Are you for real?
To acquire assets. So I call it basically getting onto the property ladder using other people's money. OPM. So
are we learning something, ladies and gentlemen? Like some people, I've seen some very serious faces. Like this really tuning in. Okay.
So one of the things that we've been shown over time is debt is a bad thing. But actually, like the book Richard Paul that teaches you good debt and bad debt. So good debt is taking money from an investor, using that money as a deposit, which forms your 25% to acquire an asset. A bad debt is you taking on a £20,000 loan from your mom and your dad and going to a wedding.
All the guys agree.
Or, for example, imagine you've been working in care. No disrespect to black people, but the truth is we have a lot of black people that, we do a lot of different types of linear jobs or not, and but yet we save that money, £30,000 by the end of the year, to celebrate our 50-year-old birthday. So it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So we're taking money to doing the wrong things, rather than taking money to do the right things. Now, statistics have shown to us that over 1,000 years, in property investment in the UK, property tends to go up in value every 10 to 15 years. It doubles. Now imagine this, you knew how to build the right visibility on social media, then I got you, Tony Dada, to trust me for about 24 months, 2 years. Just trust me. Give me your £100,000. Let me give you some money. Well, I know we're in Natwest building, but right? Now, obviously, what I'm doing here is basically just showing them the purpose. I'm not taking your money for the sake of telling me you're going on a journey together. We're going to go and buy an asset somewhere that has a very, basically the worst condition, the worst property on the best road. You add value to that property. You take Tony Dada's money as a deposit, you refurbish that asset, all of a sudden the property is worth a bit more. And then you go to, maybe not NatWest, a different lender, different from NatWest, because NatWest will probably look in a different way. However, the new value, a different lender gives you a higher value that allows you to take out Tony Dada's money to pay Tony Dada back, and you then sit on the asset and wait for the next 10 years to 15 years for the property to appreciate in value.
That sounds like a plan, ladies and gentlemen. Are we learning? So serious faces, like people are really tuning into what you're saying. This is what I'm saying. So, well, thank you for sharing that. It's very insightful. You got me thinking. So, I think our time is limited. So you talked about, I want to pick up on something you said. You talked about black community and how they operate. And I think it's all a mindset thing, really. And we're talking about each of us, wherever you are in your community or communities, being an influence, being a light, making a difference. So the question I wanted to ask is your views on, so some of you might be aware that NatWest did a report a few years ago called the Agenda for Time to Change. And in this report, it was done by Aston University. What they identified was that, and I was a bit surprised when I read this, it says that in the UK, that the ethnic communities or ethnic minority groups in the UK are consistently more entrepreneurial or more likely to start a business. Did you know that? Is that true? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very.
Would you like to comment on that?
No, I think you make a really good point, and one thing that the report really goes to show is that we need to start tapping into potential rather than just looking where people are, in the current moment. Yes. As an example, I'll take, Doctor's example where you're an Uber driver, but actually you have this vision. If someone just looks at you in the moment, they just think, okay, this guy's just an Uber driver, but actually behind the scenes, there's so much more going on. So I think it's also thinking about the potential, turning that mindset of just it being a no into a not yet, and how do I make those steps towards making my vision a reality as well? Is that going to be through mentorship? Is that going to be through your existing network, expanding that network to take on some new contacts? Or is it actually going to be through coming to events like these, surrounding yourself with like-minded people? So I think as well it comes down to the internal mindset, but also there's a responsibility on all of us to start to dispel that discouragement as well. If someone tells you no, don't give up, go to the next source. If someone says, not right now, again, come back to that moment where you're thinking, okay, it's a not yet, it's not a no. Also thinking about, really defining your vision, what it is that you want to build, whether it's a business, a social enterprise, whether it's a charity, but really define that North Star, because naturally you will then start to gravitate towards those opportunities that are going to enable you to get to that end goal as well.
Wow, fantastic. Please, Ari.
I just wanted also to say that sometimes the opportunity may not be in the UK. So if we stay open,
okay.
What we did was to actually club together as members of our family. Some people say never do business with family, but with us it's worked. So we put money together, we don't have any big loans, and we started a small property project in Ghana. So we're just about finishing our 5th home, we'll have 6 more. And what that has done is enabled us to free up a little bit of money to do the charity work that we want to do. So we've studied the people around us. My father is into property, although he worked for many years in the corporate world. So it's about thinking about the opportunities. Some of us can't afford to quit our jobs just yet. Some of us may need to think about other ways. So the charity we started actually has 9 mates. 7 of them went to my high school. We finished school in 1984. We've come together. There are 10 of us. And because 10 of us work together on the charity, we've been able to do so much. So it's kind of being open, looking at our networks, looking at the opportunities that are just all around us and making something of them.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I mention that because, as you know, I'm all about supporting the underrepresented. That's what my life work is about. And for those of you who came in late, I'm not that happy dig, but you know, you heard the tone. So it's women, people from ethnic communities, young people, creatives, and social entrepreneurs. That's who I'm committed to. So I want to finish up because what the report also said, and this I found really quite shocking, is that the UK economy would benefit. So I'm going to pause there to say every single person in this room and in this country would benefit to the tune of 175 to 100 billion pounds if the banking sector was to lend more favourably to those underrepresented communities that I just mentioned. Isn't that shocking? So this has got nothing, it's not about colour, it's about conscious awareness, meaning we all lose out. 100 billion, not one. Did you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, I would love to, Tony. Thank you for putting me on the spot. So I think, now I'm not going to have a dig, Tony, but let me just point of correction here. So it's not just the banking sector, it's about the business support organisations that exist in the UK in general. So that's thinking about, community-driven funding organisations, thinking about, yes, financial services providers. But I think the key thing there that I really want to highlight is that it comes down to demystification, and it comes back to what I said before. For example, bank finance is not suitable for everyone at every stage in their business cycle. However, it comes back to that thing about tapping into that potential. So if business support organizations can actually play a more conscious part in enabling entrepreneurs to go through those steps of their journey, that's where we need to start tapping into that power. But also, I think it's about creating spaces where we have the confidence to say, wait, hold on a minute. So, why is it that you've, said that the loan isn't available right now? Or what can I do to actually build my credibility in the future to then become, eligible for a loan? Because actually, you might find out that the type of business that you're running could be more, profitable if you run it as a community interest company, for example. And I think it's about that demystification piece where we have clearer communication, going into more detail about what we can do to support each other as a circular community, coming back to this social entrepreneurship piece, but also thinking about, like I say, having that perseverance. I think it's all, we always talk about how there's these unicorns that we see in the market. No one talks about the 9 times they failed. They only talk about the 1 time they succeeded. So it's also about thinking about, just because you can't avail of an opportunity at that point in time, whether it's a financial service provider, whether it's a business support organization, that's not to say that what you're doing is particularly bad. All we're saying that is, in that time in your journey, it's just not aligned with that opportunity that you're looking at as well. So I think it comes down to that demystification piece. It's not just about because, as much as it's hard to believe, Tony, we do care.
I mean, no.
We do care, but...
You've shown me a lot of love over the last 10 years, so I definitely, stand corrected on that. And to the point that you made, I mean, we're just trying to put out as much information here so that people can open your minds. And to speak to what you mentioned about the structure of your organization, I actually experienced that. For 10 years, I was trying to get my thing off the ground as a solo entrepreneur. And literally, I had a conversation with someone one day, and I could see my work was having an impact in the community, but I just couldn't make no money. Like, it wasn't working. And then someone said, you're never going to make any money doing this. I love the work you're doing. Why don't you set up as a social entrepreneur and set up as a not-for-profit organization? I said, what's that? Because I had no clue. But I'm like, well, you know what have I got to do? Because I can see the work is making a difference to people's lives. So I'm like, let's go. Because I'm committed. I'm just going to find a way. And so we made our first application. And I was like, damn. Because in 6 months we got 75. Our first check from the Arts Council. I'm like, okay, we could do this. And that's how we went on to generate and receive almost £2 million. And I didn't mention in the talk, but it's amazing because it's all about the structure. As a result of changing that structure, we were able to receive funding from the Mayor's Office, the Home Office, the Arts Council, the British Army, Lend-Lease, who they built the last, or contributed to the building of the last Olympic Village. I mean, amazing. Just based on structure, learning. Yeah. So, I'm saying this really just not to say anything other than everything is determined based on your mindset. He who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't are both right. If you can't see possibilities, then by spiritual law, possibilities do not exist for you. And my work is really about helping you to expand your mind, to see that for most of us, we're only living at 30, 40, or 50% of your true capacity. And even when I want to show you the amount of resistance that we get from people that I'm trying to show you your greatness. And for the most part, we've been so conditioned by society, we will fight the person who's even trying to support us until it gets to rock bottom. And my work has been like, you shouldn't have to get to a point like Khalida got to, because we were fortunate. Do you get what I'm saying? So please use the rest of today. We've had some great speakers. When we have our lunch break, I've actually decided, I hope you don't get mad at me, but I've cut your tea and coffee time, because you can do that anytime. This kind of conversation, you don't get. Is that cool?
Yes.
So grab a coffee, but I think our speakers, some of them have stands, network with them, do the networking thing, and we'll see you back when we start to talk about money. All right.
11:30, please.
Okay, we'll see you back at 11:30.
That was really well articulated, by the way. That was fantastic.
That was great.
No worries. Well, thank you.